Imagine a workout so versatile that it helps you get race-specific sharpening for a faster 5K, but it also improves your marathon pace and even makes marathon running feel easier. Surely that's too good to be true. Challenge accepted. I'll prove you wrong on that. Today, I'm walking you through this unicorn of a workout as I do it myself and explain why this is a workout I come back to time and time again, and you should too. Whether you're trying to better your parkrun PB or improve over the marathon, it's got it all. And I'll also give you a little bit of an embarrassing story about when this workout almost got the better of me. But first, I need to warm up for this session. And I forgot my foot roller today, so we're using my foam roller on my feet and it's not really working. So what is the workout? We've got 8 by a K of 90 seconds to 2.5 minutes recovery. If I really need it, I can take 3 minutes recovery, but that's if I've kind of overcooked it a little bit by the end. Sometimes I do 10 of these reps, so it'll be an 8 to 10 by a K. And last time I did this session, I did 6 by a K, which was back in February because I was still kind of easing back in from this injury, but the stimulus is the same, the intensity is the same. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with this workout, which will become very clear when I talk about that slightly embarrassing session a little bit later on. But when it goes well, I really enjoy it and you feel good. I mean, in a very kind of type 2 way, like it's fun when it's done. So last time I did this in February, I started out at 3:23, which is a little bit slow, but the goal was kind of to be in the 3 teens. I think I got down to like a 3:09, 3:10 at the end, but I was probably averaging like 3:13 to 3:16. And today the paces are starting in the 3 teens, so technically 3:19, but I'd like to be sort of 3:18-ish to start with, and then working down. And I actually don't have a speed limit from John Green today, so that means, you know, the world is my oyster. I could run a 2:55 at the end. I won't be doing that because I'm not really that fast, but you never know. And at my best, when I've done this workout, I have worked down to like a 3 flat 2:59K, but that's really balls to the wall territory when Phily is very fit. And we're working up to that point at the moment. It's March, okay? We have time. I'll do my worst, see how close I can get. This session has so much to offer. I will genuinely do this session whether I'm training for like a 1500, a 3K, a 5K on the track, or a half marathon and a marathon, because it works on so much at the same time. It's gonna help your endurance, it's gonna help your form, it's gonna help your VO2 max, it's gonna help your economy, it's gonna help your lactate buffering. But I'm gonna fully deep all of that later on, and I'm also gonna give you ways that you can adapt this session to you, whether you don't wanna quite do this amount of volume or you're a little bit slower, so Ks maybe is a little bit too long. Don't worry, I've got you. But first, I need to get my jog on, BRB. The embarrassing story with this workout takes me all the way back to 2023, start of 2023. My first time on an altitude camp with the team that I joined, and Helen, my coach at the time, had set me this 8 by K workout. But without Daniel there, because back then we couldn't afford to bring him out on my training camps because it was still pretty early days for YouTube actually kind of being our jobs. I had to film everything myself on that camp. And the only way for me to film a workout without finding someone else to come and film and paying them, which in hindsight would have been a great idea, I thought I'd go to Walmart, buy myself a GoPro and just get a head mount and then POV film the session, do a little voiceover afterwards. Easy. It wouldn't be any harder to run 8 by K with a camera on my head. Where we did that workout down in Camp Verde is just a hot spot for pro athletes trying to run fast while they're up in Flagstaff. And so there I am with this GoPro on a head mount ready to do this 8 by K session. And my coach was embarrassed, my teammates were embarrassed. I had to convince her that it was absolutely no issue at all and wasn't slowing me down. Meanwhile, it was kind of uncomfortable and I had a really shocking session as well. So that's on the internet. If you fancy a laugh, go and watch it. But actually, do you know what? I wouldn't recommend. It's not, the more recent videos are much, much better. At its core, this session is super flexible. You could tweak the paces and the recoveries depending on your goal, but today we are running fast K reps. Around 5 to 10K race pace with longer recovery versus its threshold cousin with shorter recoveries and slower paces. And I'm not kidding, I really think this is one of the most versatile workouts you can do. Why? Many reasons. Number one, you're sitting right in that sweet spot between energy systems. So you get a lot of bang for your buck and you can use it across different phases of training. And this is gonna make a lot more sense later on when I compare the benefits of this session when you're in a 5K race block versus a marathon training block. And the big player is lactate. You're producing a lot of it during the reps, but the recovery gives you just enough time to clear it, so you're training your body to deal with it, reuse it, and keep running fast without blowing up. So that longer recovery in this session really is key. Too short and you just tie up, too long and you lose the stimulus. This sits right in that middle ground, and don't worry if you're confused here about how you would adapt this session for you. I'm going to explain all of that later on.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling a little bit nervous, which is fine. I think it's good, helpful for these types of workout. I've not done a ton of the faster end of things, like where I'd like to be by the end of this session. And I also know that it's gonna hurt, but it's necessary. You know, what's standing in between you and where you want to be is discomfort and the thing you're avoiding, so let's do it.
A little reminder about what the splits are, what you're hoping for the first half.
318-ish for the first one, 318, 319.
Nice.
I mean, John said in the 3 teens, so anywhere from 313 to 319, but I think on the slower end, and then the idea is to work down.
The first one, Phil?
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
317.4, but I did most of that in like the first 200 meters. So need to like calm myself and like lock in, because it's easy to kind of like worry yourself into running too fast.
Nice one.
Whilst this isn't a huge marathon workout, you're actually getting a really decent volume of high quality work done. 8 kilometers right around your VO2 max or critical speed, but it's broken up so you can actually hold that quality. VO2 max is basically your aerobic engine. It's the amount of oxygen you can actually use, and sessions like this push you close to that limit, which is one of the best ways to improve it. And it also teaches you to sit right on the edge of that discomfort. It's tough, but controlled, and crucially, you gotta hold your form when things start to bite, which is exactly what racing feels like.
Halfway, how are we feeling?
Yeah, feeling it, but I keep surprising myself with like what I'm able to go through like 400, 600 in, and so kind of being guided by that, because that one was 312.5. We're only halfway, so last time I did 6 I only got down to 309, so it bodes well. I just hope I can keep it going. For runners who are targeting a 3K to 5K race, you're repping right around race pace. And in total, it's actually a higher volume than you need to hold that pace in a race, which is going to build the ability to sustain that pace. And in comparison, for marathon prep, it's about raising the ceiling. And what that means is if you improve the speed at which you hit VO2 max, everything underneath it, including marathon pace, starts to feel easier. Or rather, that pace shifts faster too. This is the ceiling before doing this workout, shifting it up, getting faster across the board.
Lovely work, come on.
First like 600 meters of that one was fastest, but then I just must have like lost it, or like lost concentration in the last lap, as I was like a second slower than the one before, which is fine. Like, we're still getting the stimulus, but I had a perfect progression to that point. We'll rectify it with this last one, but I am ready to be done now. And lastly, this is a big one, it's really good for improving your running economy. And that's basically how efficiently your body uses oxygen at a given pace, the energy it costs you. You're practicing holding good form at faster speeds, so over time, that pace costs you less energy as you adapt. What does this session not do? I love that workout. So fun. 308. Fastest K in a long time. I have to find out when the last time around 308 or faster was. It's nice. Keep hitting little milestones as I get fitter. That's nice. Just ran my fastest K in a very long time. What a gift from Sports City Track today. Having my last session here be a pretty good one. I'll be thankful. She served me well. I always think, like, if you took out all of the sessions I'd ever done at this track from my fitness and my journey, what would I be? I'd be so unfit. Sometimes I've come here twice a week to get my sessions in. Goodbye, Blue Track. I'll see you when I see you. I'm happy with that. I think the pacing control was really good, which it's a big focus of the session, but it's not easy. Like, once you start getting tired, it's really easy to kind of like switch off and just want to slow down. I didn't quite get it perfect. I was progressing a little bit every rep until that penultimate one just slowed a little bit, and I think I probably just switched off in the last, like, the penultimate kind of like 200 meters maybe. And that's one of the things about that session, is you've got to find what works for you to concentrate. And the first half should feel like comfortably uncomfortable comfortable, so it's not too bad. But then after that, you've got to find what works for you. And so I try and break it down where I'll kind of like typically start off a little bit fast, just naturally I just do in that first 200 meters. So then I'll tell myself settle for a lap, and that takes me to 600, and then it's come on, a lap to go. Push, get everything out in that last 200 meters. Break it down whatever way works for you. I would say doing it on the track is a really helpful way to do that. Just don't count how long you got left after like 100, 300 meters. It's just not. It's not going to be helpful. So before we can adapt this session for different ability levels, a little bit of context. My K reps, which are at between 5K and 10K race pace, for argument's sake, are taking me about 3 minutes and a handful of seconds. And I've got a range for my recovery of 90 seconds to 2.5 minutes. The recovery range in relation to the length of time I'm running for is important, because that balance is perfect for me based on my fitness and where my VO2 max sits. And I'll take longer recoveries within that range as I get deeper into the workout and deeper into the pain. What that means is each rep is long enough and fast enough to push my aerobic system to its limit, but keeps the recovery long enough that I'm able to then hit the next one. The distance of the reps here really isn't the important part of the workout, it's the stimulus. So if we boil it down, what we're aiming for is a few minutes running at that 5 to 10K effort, repeated enough times to accumulate a solid chunk of work at that intensity, with enough recovery to keep the quality high. The issue you could have is if your 5K race pace means that those kilometers are taking 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes plus, it becomes a lot harder to sustain that effort because those reps are much longer. So the session starts to become something completely different and starts to deviate from the stimulus we're actually after. A really simple way you could adapt it is something like 8 times 3 minutes. Then you can keep the recoveries the same, 90 seconds to 2.5 minutes, starting at the shorter end and building up to the longer end. Or you could just adjust the distance so that the reps last roughly 2.5 to 3.5 minutes with you running your 5 to 10K race pace. So that might be 600 meter reps or could be 800 meters. And it doesn't actually need to be a nice round number, okay? We like them as human beings, but if you work out that your 5K race pace means that you could do 3 times 720 meters, do that. And you can also adjust the number of reps. It doesn't need to be 8. For some people, 5 to 6 reps is enough to see that benefit. And that's exactly what I did a few weeks back. If you remember when I was building back in, I only did 6 of these and that was enough to get the stimulus I needed. Regardless, the goal stays the same. Accumulating a good amount of high quality running at a fast aerobic effort without the session turning into a survival slog. Because once the pace drops, if you've started out too fast or the reps are too long and your form falls apart, we're either not getting the stimulus we're after or we're kind of doing some damage. So the takeaway is don't get too hung up on the exact distance. Focus on the effort, the duration of the reps and keeping the quality high, and you'll get the same benefits regardless of where you're at. So that's quite possibly the best workout you could do if you want to get better from 5K up to marathon. And hit that subscribe button so that you come back next week and find out why this is my last track session in Manchester, because something big's coming. And it's not just my track season. Love the grind.